Yes, Mr Hodge.
Commissioner, you might recall the threat or promise that I made yesterday afternoon that I would tender a succession of further statements. Could I just tell you what those statements are?
Yes.
These are what are referred to as Part C statements, so they respond to parts of a rubric that dealt with the ways in which banks went about meeting their obligations or went about addressing their contracts to bring them into compliance with the unfair contract terms regime. I'm going to tender the statements from 5 of the relevant banks. So the first is the statement of Brian Zacharias, dated 15 May 2018, prepared in response to Part C of Rubric 3-6. Mr Zacharias is from the Bank of Queensland. The document ID is BOQ.001.0088.0001.
That's Exhibit 3.145.
The next is statement of Sean Cash, dated 16 May 2018, prepared in response to Part C of Rubric 3-4. I think that Mr Cash is from Westpac. No, he can't be from Westpac. In any event, he's from NAB, and the document ID is WIT.001.0050.0001.
Exhibit 3.146.
The next one is the statement of Chris Williams from CBA, dated 16 May 2018, prepared in response to Part C of Rubric 3-1. The document ID is CBA.9000.0044.0001.
3.147.
The next is the statement of Kate Gibson, dated 17 May 2018, prepared in response to Part C of Rubric 3-2, and the document ID is ANZ.999.010.0001.
Exhibit 3.148.
And the last one is a statement of Ivan Marjetko, also of NAB, dated 16 May 2016, prepared in response to Part C of Rubric 3-4, and the document ID is WIT.001.0051.0001.
Exhibit 3.149.
And then, Commissioner, the next witness is a Westpac witness, Ms O'Donoghue.
Yes. Ms O'Donoghue, do you mind coming into the witness box? And may I ask you whether you would prefer to make an oath or take an affirmation? Yes, swear the witness then, please.
I swear by Almighty God
I swear by Almighty God
that the evidence I shall give
that the evidence I shall give
will be the truth,
will be the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the
and
truth.
nothing but the truth.
Do sit down. Yes, Mr O'Donoghue.
Thank you, Commissioner. Ms O'Donoghue, could I ask you to tell the Commission your full name?
Kirsten Marnie O'Donoghue.
And you are the Chief Risk Officer for the Westpac Group's business bank, is that right?
That's correct.
And your business address is 200 Barangaroo Avenue, Barangaroo, New South Wales, is that correct?
That's correct.
You've received a summons to appear at the Commission today.
Yes, I have.
Commissioner, I tender that summons.
Exhibit 3.150 is the summons to Ms O'Donoghue.
And you've also made a statement, I understand, in relation to Part C of Rubric 3.3, is that right?
Yes, I have.
And do you have a copy of that statement with you?
Yes, I do.
And are its contents true and correct?
Yes, they are.
Commissioner, I tender the statement and the exhibits to it.
Statement of Ms O'Donoghue and its exhibits, Exhibit 3.151.
May it please the Commission.
Thank you. Yes, Mr Hyde.
Thank you, Commissioner. Ms O'Donoghue, we won't be very long. I just want to run through a few documents with you. That was a promise to both you, Commissioner, and also Ms O'Donoghue. You've been the Chief Risk Officer of Westpac since January 2016.
That's correct.
And in that role, you're responsible for overseeing compliance with regulatory change.
Yes, I am.
And you've made a statement to the Commission, and one of the topics that it addresses is the changes that Westpac made to its small business standard form contracts since the amendment of the ASIC Act to extend the application of the UCT regime to small businesses.
That's correct, yes.
And you've also, in your statement, told the Commission about some communications that have taken place between Westpac and ASIC since January of 2016 in relation to those
Yes.
contracts. What I want to do is just, in addition to what you've dealt with in your statement, ask you to address or confirm a handful of other documents. Can I first bring up WBC.104.002.2610?
Perhaps would it be helpful?
I'm afraid it's not in your
Okay.
statement, I don't think. Do you want me to read that number out again? Thank you. It might be easier if you have a look on that screen closer
I think I will.
to you, Ms. O'Donoghue.
Yes.
This is an email from Sarah Brooks. Could you just tell the Commissioner who Sarah Brooks is?
Sarah Brooks works in our regulatory response team within the risk group.
And so does she report to you ultimately?
No.
Is she not, are you within the same group or in a
Yes, we're within the risk family, but in
Right.
separate lines, if you
I
like.
understand. All right. And what this email records is that you and Ms. Brooks had a discussion with ASIC about the unfair contract terms regime.
Yes, that's correct.
And have you reviewed or had the chance to have a look at this email in the course of preparing to give evidence?
Yes, I have.
And does what's set out in this email, although it's written by Ms. Brooks, reflect your recollection of what occurred during that meeting?
Yes, it does.
All right, attend to that document, Commissioner.
Exhibit 3.152 will be email Brooks to Lindbergh and others, 13 April 17, WBC 104.002.2610.
And then you say in your statement that on the 10th of May 2017 you participated in what I think you describe as a roundtable event with ASIC and the Australian Small Business and Family Enterprise Ombudsman and some other major banks.
That's correct, yes.
And can we bring up WBC.104.0002.2539?
Is it 104.002?
WBC.104.002.2539.
Yes.
Did you attend that roundtable along with Mr. Moyes?
Yes, I did.
All right. And he set out an email which contains a detailed note of what occurred at that meeting. Have you had the opportunity to review this document in the course of preparing to give evidence?
Yes, I have.
And does his note of what he sets out there reflect your recollection of what occurred during the meeting?
Yes, it does.
All right, I attend to that document, Commissioner.
Exhibit 3.153, email Moyes to Holcomb and others, 10 May 17, WBC 104.002.2539.
And then you also, as we understand it, attended a further meeting with ASIC on the 19th of June 2017.
Yes.
And can we bring up WBC.107.001.6563? This is the agenda for that meeting. Have you reviewed this document in the course of preparing to give evidence?
Yes, I have.
And do you recall whether the items set out in the agenda were all discussed during the course of that meeting?
Yes.
I tender that document, Commissioner.
Agenda of meeting 19 June 17, small business loans, unfair contract terms, WBC 107 001 6563, Exhibit 3.154.
And finally, can we bring up WBC.414.002.0409? It's a bit difficult to read, but this is a chain of emails. The email at the bottom is an email from Chris Green of ASIC being sent to, amongst other people, Ms. Brooks, and then she's then forwarded that email on to you with some commentary.
Yes.
I tender that document, Commissioner.
What's its date, Mr.
It's the 7th of March. It's the
6-7 March
6th and 7 March 2018.
18, is it?
Yes.
Yes.
Now,
Emails between Brooks Green and others, 6 and 7 March 2018, WBC 414 Exhibit 3.155.
thank you, Commissioner. The only other thing then that I wanted to ask you about was this issue that's being raised in this last chain of emails is an issue about cross-default clauses.
Yes.
And as we understand it, there was at least a difference of view between ASIC and Westpac about the use of cross-default clauses and the intersection between those cross-default clauses and the UCT.
Yes.
And has that difference now been resolved? Has there been an agreement reached between ASIC and Westpac about that?
Yes, there has.
And what is the resolution of it?
The resolution is as was outlined in Report 565, which is the cross-default clauses will extend only to the defaults listed within the non-monetary defaults agreed and enforcement proceedings.
Thank you, Commissioner. I don't have any further questions. Ms. O'Donoghue.
Do you have anything, Mr. Dark?
No, thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. O'Donoghue, you're step down and may be excused further attendance.
Commissioner, could we adjourn for 5 minutes while we change around the council?
Yes, I'll return in 5 minutes' time, somewhere between 10 and 15:15.
Thank you.